When the HOA president showed up at the community meeting covered head to toe in neon green glitter, everyone thought it was a prank. It wasn't. That was the exact moment my revenge plan finally worked, after she'd stolen my fifth package and laughed in my face. For months, she acted like she owned the neighborhood, spying, fining, and stealing deliveries like some self-appointed porch pirate queen. So I gave her something to steal, a glitter bomb disguised as a luxury delivery. When it exploded, it didn't just stain her clothes, it exposed her truth in front of the whole street. Because sometimes, justice doesn't come from the law, it comes from a box on your porch. Sometimes karma just needs a little creativity, right? Before we dive into how I turned porch piracy into poetic justice, tell me in the comments, what would you have done if your HOA president kept stealing your stuff? And if you think glitter bombs should be legal punishment for thieves, smash that like button and subscribe, because here, we celebrate smart justice with a sparkle. My name's Michael Reed, and I've lived in this quiet suburban neighborhood for 4 years, the kind where lawns are perfect, mailboxes match, and the HOA thinks it's the Supreme Court. At the top of that court sat Karen Hulland, our self-appointed president for life. She didn't just enforce the rules, she wrote new ones whenever she got bored. First, it was petty stuff, my grass being too green, my trash bins being too visible. But then things got personal. Packages started disappearing from my porch, first one, then another, then 5 in total. When I mentioned it at the HOA meeting, Karen smirked. Maybe you should pick them up faster, Michael. We can't be responsible for your negligence. Everyone laughed, except me. A week later, I spotted her son Grant, the local rich kid with zero self-awareness, wearing my limited edition sneakers. The same ones I'd been waiting months for. The same ones that vanished 2 days after delivery. When I asked about them, he shrugged. Oh, Mom said they were just sitting outside. Finders keepers, man. That was the moment something in me snapped. I'd worked hard for what I had, and now the same woman who fined people for wind chimes was stealing boxes off porches like some suburban pirate. I tried going the legal route, filed a report, installed a camera, but she was too smart. She'd time her walks during daylight, hide behind her HOA badge, and call it neighborhood inspection. The police said without video proof, there was nothing they could do. So I started collecting evidence. Every fine notice, every suspicious patrol, every smug text she sent about keeping the community safe. I called it the Hulland file, my growing archive of her arrogance. But even that wasn't enough. Then came the final straw, a Lego collector set for my nephew's birthday. I watched the delivery guy drop it off. 10 minutes later, gone. And that night, through her window, I saw the same set on her living room shelf. I realized then, Karen didn't need a warning. She needed a lesson. And if the law couldn't teach it, I would. After the Lego set, I stopped trying to reason with her. Reason didn't work on people like Karen Hulland, she thrived on control. She fined people for leaving their car windows cracked, for having unauthorized welcome mats, even for kids' chalk drawings on the sidewalk. The neighborhood was living under her rule, everyone whispered, nobody acted. But me? I was done whispering. The next morning, I knocked on my neighbor Mitch Carter's door. Mitch was a retired engineer, quiet, and as tired of Karen as I was. His crime? His birdbath was too reflective. When I told him what happened, he chuckled. She stole your packages, he said, shaking his head. Then it's time she got one worth stealing. That single line sparked a plan. We started sketching ideas on his garage workbench, decoy boxes, motion sensors, dye packs, glitter canisters. Mitch was in his element. We can make it completely harmless, he said, but unforgettable. For days, we worked in secret. I ordered a biodegradable glitter mix online, the kind that sticks for weeks. Mitch built a spring-loaded core powered by a pressure trigger. The lid would pop the moment it was lifted, coating everything in a neon green dust storm. We even added a tiny GPS tracker hidden in the box lining, just in case Karen's inspection tours took the bait somewhere else. By day, I acted normal, mowing my lawn, waving at her fake smiles. By night, I tested camera angles. The main camera was hidden inside a birdhouse, another behind my porch light. Both pointed directly at the steps where she always paused during her walks. For 2 weeks, I waited. She didn't show. Maybe she'd moved on, or maybe she was watching. Then came Monday afternoon. I heard the familiar crunch of her SUV tires on gravel. I peeked through the blinds. There she was, clipboard in hand, sunglasses on, pretending to inspect the curb line. She stopped. Her eyes locked onto the box, plain brown packaging, big fragile sticker on top. I held my breath. She looked around, adjusted her hair, and with that same smug smirk, lifted it. That's when I whispered, "Welcome to package number 6, Karen." The next few seconds would change everything. I didn't feel like a vigilante, I felt like an investigator. Mitch and I went over every detail until it was flawless. The birdhouse cam had a pinhole lens, the doorframe cam was motion activated and encrypted to cloud backup. The GPS was wrapped in duct tape and hidden under bubble wrap at the bottom of the box. The glitter dye payload was tested on spare fabric until the stain looked theatrical but harmless, humiliated, not harmful. The decoy was labeled like something irresistible, glossy fake brand stickers, priority overnight, and just enough weight to feel real. I placed it on the porch at dawn and then pretended to forget it, the perfect bait. For 2 days I watched the feeds like a hawk, checking motion logs, recharging batteries, and biting my tongue every time Karen's SUV crawled past. I knew she'd be arrogant enough to take it in daylight. On the 3rd afternoon, the camera pinged. Movement. The live feed showed Karen's slow, purposeful approach, clipboard tucked under her elbow, sunglasses hiding her expression. She glanced left and right, then reached for the box. My chest tightened. I hit record on my phone and muted my breath. She lifted the lid. The spring-loaded arms fired. A neon green cloud blasted upward and outward, glitter caught the light like radioactive confetti. Karen jerked back, shrieking, hands flying to her face as the dye smudged across her cheeks. The GPS pinged. The trap had worked, and it had done more than stain clothes. It had put a spotlight on a pattern that no one could ignore. The moment the glitter bomb detonated, the whole street froze. For half a second, there was silence, then came Karen's scream. A loud, echoing shriek that could have cracked glass. Neon green and sparkling, she stumbled backward onto her lawn, flailing like she was being chased by bees. Every move sent another wave of glitter flying into the sunlight, raining down in tiny flashes of poetic justice. I watched through the window, half in shock, half in satisfaction. My porch camera caught everything in perfect 4K, the smug HOA president now glowing like a radioactive disco ball. Neighbors started peeking out of their doors. One of them, Mrs. Porter, gasped. "Oh my God, Karen. What happened?" Karen tried to compose herself, wiping her face, but that only smeared the dye deeper. "Someone attacked me," she yelled, her voice cracking. "Michael did this. He's sabotaging me." I stepped outside slowly, phone in hand. "Karen, are you sure?" I said calmly. "You look like you've had quite a colorful day." The cameras were still rolling. She lunged toward me, shouting about neighborhood safety, criminal behavior, and calling the board. But when she realized everyone was watching and recording, her fury turned to panic. She jumped into her SUV, still glowing green, leaving a trail of glitter behind her like some furious fairy godmother gone rogue. Within hours, the footage spread through the neighborhood group chat. People who'd been scared of her for years were laughing for the first time. The clip of her exploding in green glitter replayed on loop, set to pop music and captions like HOA Queen gets her crown. But the real victory wasn't the laughter, it was the proof. The GPS tracker led the police straight to a storage unit registered under Karen's name. Inside were dozens of stolen packages, not just mine. Cameras, clothes, even kids' toys. The HOA's perfect president had been caught red-handed, or in her case, green and glitter-handed. Justice had never looked this shiny. By the next morning, the neighborhood was buzzing, and not just from the glitter still stuck to Karen's driveway. Everyone had seen the footage. The HOA president who'd once threatened fines for unapproved garden gnomes was now the star of the most satisfying scandal our street had ever witnessed. The police arrived at her house early that day. Between the video evidence, the GPS data, and the stolen packages found in her storage unit, there wasn't much left for her to say. Her son Grant tried to defend her, claiming the items were found property, but when officers pulled out my sneakers, the same ones he'd been wearing proudly, even he went silent. By sunset, Karen was suspended from her HOA duties pending investigation. A week later, the board voted her out entirely. Turns out, she'd also been using HOA funds for landscape consulting, basically paying herself to criticize other people's lawns. When the official notice went out, the neighborhood held a block party, the first one in years. Kids rode bikes again. People laughed, shared food, and for the first time, nobody looked over their shoulder for clipboard patrols. As for me, I handed the full video and evidence to the police, then uploaded a short clip online. I didn't expect it to go viral, but it did. Millions of views, comments calling it the glitter bomb justice story. My favorite one said, "Sometimes karma just needs a craftsman." A few days later, I got a letter in the mail. Not a fine, a thank you note, signed by almost every resident on the block. For standing up when we couldn't, it said. I looked out at the quiet street that night, calm, free, and sparkling faintly in the moonlight from leftover glitter. Turns out, justice doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes, it comes in a box, and explodes right on time.